Emile driving me nuts after having baby. The relationship with my Emile has never been great. It's not been openly bad either, but it was mainly because we didn't spend much time together. That all changed the minute my fiancé and I bought a house and announced we were having a baby. What do you think of some of my Emile's behaviors described below? She drives me nuts every time I interact with her, as I have an impression she desperately tries to be number one in both my fiancé's and baby's life, and then plays the "I'm so lonely" card when that doesn't work out. Her first words after we told her I was pregnant was, "Oh, so I'm going to have to give up my room so soon." I was quite shocked at this and didn't have a clue what she was talking about, but figured out that she must have been referring to our spare room in the newly bought house that she once stayed in. I reckon that in her head, she imagined it was her room, but that was never discussed. The room was always going to be a child's room. She just wasn't informed of our plans. When I was pregnant, she was making plans with my fiancé for going to places and planning for things my partner would do for her at the time. I was going to be 9 months pregnant. Discussions were held in my presence as if I wasn't there, obviously completely ignoring me and not taking into consideration that I might need my partner's support, then being heavily pregnant, and perhaps that the baby would arrive early, which it did in the end. She enjoyed talking about her birth experiences with me and my partner, telling us about her vaginal tear, and that she almost fainted after the birth of her first child, which I found gross. The second I tried to say something about myself, she would interrupt or pretend she didn't hear and would just continue talking. Was trying to impose on me her ideas related to the preferred pram configuration or where and how the baby should sleep, etc. After I gave birth to our baby, she sent flowers to the address to my fiancé's name and with no ticket attached, as if he was the one giving birth. My Emile completely ignored me and didn't send me a single message after a baby was born to check on how I was doing, whilst bombarding me with messages when needs access to the baby or with unwanted advice when I was pregnant. When we went to visit for the first time with the baby, she didn't ask me once about anything, just ignored me the whole time as if I didn't exist. The first thing she said to my fiancé when we arrived was, "What are you up to? How is your boss doing? And then how is your friend X doing?" Then wanted me out in the other room pumping milk so she could hold or feed the baby. Once I heard the baby cry and came down and said, "Why is the baby crying?" She responded, "Well, the baby didn't cry until you came here." During first visits after the baby was born, she seemed to have an issue that my baby preferred me, didn't like it, was trying to get the baby away from me and send me away. Spending time together, all of us, with me holding the baby, wasn't of interest to her. She would try to get the bae in the pram and say to him, "Don't look at your mom. You don't need her." When visiting and my baby would cry because I was changing his nappy or clothes, she would say things like, bad mommy, what's she doing to you? She's making you cry." Kept repeating I could take him home. We were going to get on so well we could read books together all day, like a broken record every time she was around my baby, which used to drive me nuts as a new mom. Tried to shove her spoon with ice cream into my 5-month-old baby's mouth whilst knowing that our baby wasn't even on solids at that time. Started suggesting to me in text messages that she should move in closer to us. She's an elderly lady with obesity and mobility issues. After a fall a couple of years ago, where she broke several bones, her mobility is impaired. She can't move herself up from a chair and walks with an aid. Yet, she's been insisting for me to leave my very mobile baby alone with her because she wants to feed him and take him for a walk in a pram. My baby doesn't like being in a pram or being bed by other people. But my Emile is desperate for us to leave the baby alone with her so that she can play mummy, ignore all the rules, and feel in charge. Being in the presence of me and the baby is not enjoyable to her, as she wants me out of the picture. I don't feel that leaving my baby with her alone is safe, either physically or emotionally, for my baby. My partner and I had several arguments about that as he continued to keep his mother's side and find excuses. My mother is lonely. She just wants to help. She means well. She is such a trustworthy person, and do things to please her. Eventually he came round, but I think that deep down he feels resentful that I don't embrace his mother and let her walk all over me and our baby. My baby has never warmed up to her. When he was 3 months old, he would cry when he sensed her presence and wanted to breastfeed for hours when she was around. She was fuming. When at the end of the day, when she was about to leave, he managed to smile at her a little, she would respond in an angry voice. "Don't smile at me now, it's too late." When holding him, she would refuse to give him back to me for comfort when he was crying in her arms, and I had to forcefully take him back. Once he farted when she held him, and she said, "That was nasty," which I thought was not a nice way to react to such a cute thing as a few-month-old baby's fart. Because our baby didn't like her and didn't feel comfortable to be around her, she demanded frequent video calls with the baby when he was 4 months old to help them bond. I refused. I'm a busy mom trying to hold my shit together as best as I can and get some sleep in between, and I don't have time for video calls. Also, I don't think that a 4-month-old would get anything from being forced to stare at a screen frequently, and I'm certain that at that age it would not help with bonding. When visiting, as with a newborn, would never bring anything to eat, just expected us to cater for her and her husband while she wanted to exclusively hold the baby all the time and get visibly upset when the baby wanted me. She would also behave in various ways with my baby in my presence, which suggested that she thought she was running the show in my own home. For example, when my son was 3.5 months old, she instructed my partner, whilst I was sitting next to him, to give the baby a banana, as if it was her decision to take, without asking at all if or when he was having solids. Where we live, it's not recommended to feed baby solids until 6 months, so I had to tell her that. She proceeded to give my baby a spoon dipped in beer in my presence without asking. I said to my partner to tell her no. She keeps giving me unsolicited advice about organizing myself as a mom as if I'm 10 years old. I realize that she thinks that she's got a say in our child's upbringing as if she was the mother. Buying tons of useless clothes for the baby. For example, buying 12 summer outfits when the summer where we live has ended and next year the clothes will be too small as my baby is on the larger side. When I went back to work part-time in the mornings, after having a baby, she wanted to keep coming during the mornings when I worked to see the baby when I wasn't around so she could do what she wanted with the baby. When I put a stop to it and said she has to come when we are all available, she would rather not come to visit at all as she can't be in charge, even though she tries, when I'm around and can't stand the fact that the baby prefers me. She thanked me for making an effort to throw a great first birthday party for my son. As if I did her a favor or something, she rarely says thank you to me for anything. It's just not in her vocabulary. I don't need to be thanked for things I do for my child, as any loving mother would. She tries to manipulate my partner to think that our baby is for her to enjoy, to provide her with life purpose and help her with loneliness. I said no to that as my baby is not a toy to play with. She now plays the victim and keeps complaining that the baby doesn't like her. She flips between ignoring me and treating me like I have no say in anything or don't exist and bombarding me with messages to appear caring or nice. Mostly when she wants something such as time alone with the baby, info about baby, to feel important or to offer unsolicited advice. Keep saying to my partner that she wants to get more involved with the baby, even though there is no need for that as we don't need help or childcare.